That's it. You're not trying to solve your entire life in one sitting. You're simply tuning in, becoming more aware. Because the truth is, most of us live on autopilot. We wake up, get through the day, react to things, numb out with entertainment or distractions, and repeat. Days blur into weeks, and suddenly it's a new year and we wonder where the time went. But when you introduce intentional reflection into your life, everything starts to slow down. Not in a lazy or passive way, but in a deeply conscious way. You become more present, more in touch with what actually matters to you. You start noticing patterns, emotional triggers, habits that drain you, relationships that lift you or drag you down. You begin to see how your small daily actions either build or break your future. And that's powerful, because the gap between who you are and who you want to be is mostly built by the stories you tell yourself and the behaviors you repeat. When you reflect consistently, you start rewriting those stories. You stop blaming circumstances or other people. You take ownership, even of the things that hurt. Especially of those things. One of the most underrated effects of daily reflection is how it reshapes your self-talk. Instead of your mind being full of noise, full of unchecked thoughts that often lean negative or anxious, you begin to create space. Space to listen, space to respond rather than react, space to grow. You stop being so hard on yourself, not because you're lowering standards, but because you're finally speaking to yourself with honesty and compassion. Most of us go through life hoping for something to shift, something to finally make things better. We tell ourselves we'll start next Monday, or when the timing is right, or once we're less busy, less stressed, more motivated. The truth is, there's never a perfect time. But there is always power in the present moment. And if you truly want to change your life, you don't need to overhaul everything at once. You just need to focus on one simple, consistent habit, one that doesn't require talent, money, or special circumstances. Just commitment. That habit is intentional daily reflection. Now, that may not sound revolutionary at first. It's not flashy. It's not going to go viral on social media. But if you can commit to the habit of spending 10 to 15 minutes a day reflecting, genuinely reflecting, on your choices, emotions, actions, and goals, your life will start to shift in ways you can't imagine. Not overnight, but over time. And 30 days is enough to start feeling the change. What does this habit actually look like? It's simple. Every day, preferably at the same time, often best at night, before sleep, you sit down with a notebook, a voice recorder, a phone note, anything. And you ask yourself a few key questions. What did I do today that aligned with the person I want to become? What did I do that pulled me away from that version of myself? What am I grateful for right now? What could I do better tomorrow? At first, this might feel uncomfortable. Sitting with your thoughts is not always pleasant. We're conditioned to stay busy, to keep moving. Slowing down enough to notice what's really going on inside can be jarring. You may find yourself face to face with guilt, with regret, with parts of yourself you've ignored. But that discomfort is exactly where the transformation begins. In the first week, you might simply feel more aware. You'll notice how often your mind races, how reactive you are to stress. You'll see your routines, the helpful ones and the destructive ones, more clearly. That awareness alone can be unsettling, but don't stop there. Keep showing up. Keep writing, recording, reflecting, even if it feels pointless at first. By the second week, a shift starts to happen. You begin to catch yourself in real time. You hesitate before snapping at someone. You notice the impulse to scroll endlessly, and sometimes you resist. You start making choices with just a little more care. You realize that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And progress becomes visible, not because everything is suddenly easy, but because you're finally paying attention. In week 3, you might start feeling more grounded. The habit is no longer something you have to remind yourself to do, it's becoming part of you. You might find yourself looking forward to it. That quiet space at the end of the day becomes sacred. You start seeing results, not just in your mental clarity, but in your confidence. You're no longer being swept away by life, you're steering. Even if the winds blow, you have a hand on the wheel now. By the time you reach the 4th week, something deeper settles in. You're no longer the same person who started this journey. Not because your circumstances have radically changed, but because you have. You're more honest with yourself. More accepting of your flaws, but less tolerant of your excuses. You've started setting small goals that actually stick, not because you forced them, but because they naturally emerged from your clarity. And here's the thing, it's not just about the 10 or 15 minutes at night. That one habit creates a ripple effect throughout your entire day. When you know you're going to sit down and reflect later, you start living more deliberately. You ask better questions in the moment. You pause before acting out of habit. You live with more integrity, not because anyone else is watching, but because you are watching. This habit also makes you a better communicator. When you reflect on your interactions, you see where you might have misunderstood someone, where ego got in the way, where kindness could have prevailed. You grow emotionally. You mature. Relationships deepen, not because you suddenly know all the right things to say, but because you've learned how to listen to yourself and to others. You'll also find that the act of reflection strengthens your sense of purpose. We often think purpose is something we have to find, like a hidden treasure. But more often, it's something we uncover little by paying attention to what moves us, what excites us, what drains us. Reflection gives you that back. It helps you stop chasing other people's definitions of success and instead ask, what feels true for me? You don't need a dramatic life change to start. You don't need to quit your job, travel the world, or have everything figured out. You just need a few quiet minutes, each day, to return to yourself. That's where the real transformation begins. Not in the external hustle, but in the internal alignment. What's beautiful is that this habit works no matter where you're starting from. Whether you're thriving and want to go deeper, or struggling and just trying to keep your head above water, this works. Because it meets you exactly where you are. No judgment, just curiosity and honesty. And you don't need to get it perfect. Some days your reflection might be messy. You might miss a day. That's okay. The point is to keep returning. To keep choosing awareness over avoidance. To keep showing up for yourself, even on the days when it's hard. Some people might wonder, can something so simple really change my life? But simplicity is not weakness. Simplicity is clarity. And what could be more powerful than learning how to understand yourself, how to guide your own growth, how to listen to your own wisdom? We live in a world that constantly pulls us outward, toward noise, distraction, comparison. This one habit pulls you inward. It grounds you. It reminds you that you have agency, that you can choose your direction, that you are not a victim of your past or your patterns. In 30 days, you may not become a completely different person, but you will be a more honest version of yourself, more intentional, more awake. And once you experience that, you'll never want to go back to autopilot again. You'll realize that change doesn't begin with massive external shifts. It begins with the small, daily decision to pay attention, to reflect, to grow, to live your life with presence. So if you're looking for that one habit to change everything, start here. Start with yourself. Start tonight. 10 minutes, one question, and the courage to face the answers. That's all it takes.